Well, good morning. It's September the 10th, 2002, on Monday morning, and I hope you had a great weekend. I hope the ministry on Sunday was an excellent time, and God did some incredible things in your midst. And if you can't think of anything, just take some time even to hit pause right now and just remember what God has done over this past week. And for those of you that are listening to this at a later time, just always take time to just make a quick inventory of the blessings that God has poured out in your life and in the lives of those around you. I wanted to take some time this morning or today for this session to just kind of give you an audible overview of your project. I'm sure there are questions, and one of the benefits of internet coursework is that we have the opportunity for you to be anywhere and take this class. One of the struggles sometimes, though, is that since we're not in class together, it's hard sometimes to get and convey the details and some of the heart behind some of the coursework. And so that would be the case for something such as this project. But I just wanted to overview a few things for you this morning quickly in about a 15 or 20 minute session, and give you some ideas and fill in maybe some of the question marks that you may have. You guys have submitted your deadline number 1, which was due about a little over a week ago. And your church mission statement, pastoral flow chart, you can see the things there. You guys have completed that. The youth budget, I put an example of a youth budget up. Now, that youth budget you can take if you don't have a youth budget accessible to you. I wanted to make sure that you had something to look at, and the amount isn't as critical as it is the design and the planning and the layout. And when you talk about doing a budget, a lot of times people want to just take a lump sum of money and they want to just figure out how to spend it. With ministry, we need to make sure that we're budgeting to our values and our mission. So whatever is most critical. Okay. So in our philosophy program of youth and family ministry here at Southern Seminary, we focus in on 5 key areas: on building relationships, on evangelism, on discipleship, on equipping students for ministry, and on leadership reproduction. And so we need to think about how are we programming in those areas, and what are the tools that we're using, and then let's budget towards those tools. So that's part of what we do in budgeting. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a video session or a PowerPoint session later on this semester. Deadline 2, though, is coming up, and as you can see there, I have it says September the 10th, and in the last video session, I said that I'm going to give you through the 15th, which is later this week. What you need to do for this particular deadline. And I know at this point you're probably feeling under the burden of the minutia and the details of, which is the same thing, the details of this project, and it's probably getting on you and weighing on you a little bit. It sounds monotonous, or it sounds very tedious, and it is. This is the work of ministry sometimes, where we have to make sure that we lay out a plan. When you get bogged down, go back and just read some of the intro material that we covered when we talk about how God calls us to be organized and to plan. We don't want to get lost in the organization of it and miss God's moving through it. But if we plan now, we're able to pastor later, and so we work out this plan so then we can have something to work through. So for section 3, with your program calendar overview, which is due on later this week, as I said, there are 5 deadline points for this, but there are 4 key areas that you need to focus on. Okay, you need a 1 month per page calendar. So give me a printout of a calendar. You can take it from Outlook or maybe another software program, where you record every event, every marathon, every series and program profiles of that calendar year. Okay, so you may want to start with August 1, this past August 2012, and just move forward through July 31. If you want to start with September 1, that's fine. Most school years start in the month of August around the country. I know there are several states that don't start till after Labor Day, and if that falls where you live and where you minister, then that's fine. You can start with September. But I want 1 month per page recording everything that's going on in the student ministry, okay? This is not necessarily for show, but do it with excellence, and you'll be rewarded. You also need to include program proposal worksheets, which I've included those on Moodle. When you download those, this is not something that you're going to go through all of the complete detail of a proposal for a program. Okay, there's going to be one for each program, and what that means, there's a total of 6 of them. You're going to look down here, numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, those are your 6 program proposals. Okay, so let me answer a few questions here. You're going to do 6 program proposal worksheets. So you're going to follow the guidelines there on those program proposal worksheets. For number 1, there's going to be a level 1 relationship building activity. Okay, it's going to be either an event or a marathon. Okay, which we covered a little bit about that at the beginning of the very first video session. Your second one is going to be a level 2, which is evangelism. And it includes all of these necessary items. The third one that you're going to do on these program proposal worksheets is your 3-day retreat. It could be a back to school, it could be a discipleship weekend. You guys have done these before, you've been a part of these or seen these, so that's going to be the third one. The fourth one is your mission trip, which I know it's going to be outside the U.S. This takes a lot of work, and we have a whole class that goes into more detail related to the mission trip and doing ministry cross-culturally, internationally, but that's going to be the fourth one. The fifth one is your large group meeting. Okay, whatever you do, if you do it maybe on Sunday morning or you do it on Wednesday evening, wherever you do your large group weekly worship or outreach type meeting where it's a large group corporate meeting, and then small groups. Your small group meeting. That may be on the same day. You may have a large group on Sunday morning and transition. What I'm looking for with your large group meeting is where that is the primary focus of the time together with your students. With small group, the primary focus, you need to figure out and do your proposal based on that time during the week that is the primary time for them to get together in small groups. So that's where those program proposal worksheets fit. Then the calendar balance sheet. When you fill that out, you're going to look at, on your calendar balance sheet, you're going to look at all the things that deal with the whole calendar year that you've done here in this 12-month, and you're going to record through how you've categorized every single one of those events. Okay, so this is not this is something to give you a visual and that we can see how balanced we are in what we're doing. Okay, and I include all youth and church-related programs. When I say church-related programs, make sure you include things that would involve your student ministry and their families that may not be a youth ministry or student ministry function or a program that you are in charge of, but it will include those families, because anything that demands time of the families, you need to include in your estimation of your calendar and how that flows. So that's where you need to be careful that you think about the whole process there. With the calendar balance sheet, I'll even pull one up in here for you and let you see it a little bit here. The calendar balance sheet is, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. And, the calendar balance sheet here that I've posted, you're going to go through every month, and in the month of January, how many events are relationship building? How many are evangelism? How many are discipleship? And then follow through. You're going to have fewer events down at the bottom than you do at the top, because we are always heavy in these first 3, building relationships, evangelism, and discipleship. But we should have a nice balance. It doesn't mean that the same amount of events have to be, that the different categories have to be equal. Go through every month and score that. And then at the bottom, you're going to total up in the month of January. That's what's going on. Now, over here on this right column, this is where you're going to add up how many relationship building events for the year. This is where you'll really begin to see the balance and how that works. So be careful with that. The other thing you need to do is a production schedule worksheet. Okay, and so here's what I'm gonna show you a little bit of how that production schedule works here in just a second. Just ignore that. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find what I was looking for. While I am looking for that, I'll go ahead and show you the program planning worksheet. You're going to go through and put the name of the event, score this, either highlight it or circle it in Word, and then go through every category: the purpose, the audience, estimate things, the dynamic. Is it large group or small group? Is this major intensity or minor intensity? I know we have a difficulty sometimes determining which one would be which, but when something is major, it requires an intensity of travel, of time, and of resources, and of size of participation. Okay, minor would be something that may still have a large group of people, but you're not traveling very far, and the students really are only the finances, like for an afternoon, activity, or sometimes just an overnight. Sometimes could be minor, but you need to determine intensity. The date, you can fill that in. the time, beginning time of the event. So if it's a multiple day event, you need to put the beginning time, okay, AM or PM, and the ending time. The date will determine, what's going on there, and we'll be able to figure that one out. Locations, tell me where it's going to be. Are you hosting at the church, or are you going somewhere else? Then go through the staff. Now, I know some of you may say, well, we don't have many volunteers. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to figure out for every program, what is the optimal staff that you need. Now, I only put 10 blanks there, and you may decide that you need more, and you can add to that on that Word document. But I definitely want you to go through and think about what would it take to effectively execute this program and hit the goal, whether it's evangelism, discipleship, small group development, whatever. You need to list these out. Put the name of a person. If you have someone that you'd like to recruit, put their name on there. You don't have to put last names to protect their identity from me, which is really not that big of a danger, but list the job. So if they're registration, you put registration. If they are hospitality and refreshments or food, put that. If they are a teacher or a small group leader, if they're in charge of transportation or the recreation, or you list the jobs that would be required to make that an effective event. Then the administration, you'll circle this. Are you using an outside agency, or are you doing it all within your office there at the church? On the back, you'll list all items needed, okay, which is a quick thing. You'll list all the items needed. How are you going to get, where are they coming from? That's the source. How are you going to get them? Is that going to be borrowed? Is it going to be purchased or rented? And then how much will you need, and what is the actual cost? Okay, so at the bottom of this, you can see there's evaluation. Just continue down here on the bottom of this and cover equipment and materials. Then I want you to do a quick micro budget. Okay, you're going to talk about, are there ticket sales? No. Well, then you put a 0. Fundraisers. Well, we've done a fundraiser and we've raised $1,000. Great. Donations. The youth budget, which typically is most what we use. We use the youth budget to be able to fund what we do. Then expenses. And ticket sales just could be you're not really selling a ticket, but you're charging admission. Okay, so ticket sales, or you're charging admission. Then under expenses, what are your materials going to add up to be? You're going to get that from this up here. Okay, and when you total up, you can put equipment materials. What about services? Are you paying for a DJ? You're paying for inflatables, that kind of thing, which could fall under this as well. Rentals, honorarium. You're paying for a speaker or a musician. And then add all these up. Add up the income and the total of expenses, and then you'll find your balance, and you'll see where you are. That should always end in 0 or in a positive number. Then we look down here under promotion. Your beginning date for promotion. Do you start a year out? Do you start 9 months out? Do you start 6 weeks out? And then how are you going to do it? Just give me a grocery list. It's going to be Facebook, Twitter, mail outs, phone calls, phone blitz, flyers or handouts, announcements in small groups or in large groups, and then give me a timeline for the actual event. You'll begin, boom, 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 and then tell me what's going to happen at each stage of the event. Okay, so we get down here into the narrative. This is the funnest part for me. Okay, this is what I enjoy the most. On the back, at the bottom of this, what you're going to do is you're going to sketch a description. This doesn't have to be very long, of the environment. In other words, I want you to walk me through verbally and tell me what's going on. When students arrive, they will sense a feeling of excitement. They'll see the inflatables. They'll hear the music playing. They will hang out near where the food is, or they'll meet their friends in a certain part of the room or on the property. When they go through describe to me all the way through the evening, okay? You don't have to use a lot of words, but you can be succinct, but I want you to give me a narrative of the event. And then the final thing that you need to put on this program proposal is the evaluation. And I know I only listed 3 things, okay? But I want you to give me a plan. Who's going to do the evaluation? Obviously you should, but who else? When will it be done? As quickly and as closely to the event that it can be. How will it be done? Will it be a survey, a phone call, interview, or a meeting? Okay, so those are some things you need to know with that program proposal worksheet, as I showed you there. On the let me see here on the thinking about the production schedule. Let me find the production schedule. I think I've put it somewhere differently, but I'll find it here quickly and show you, and then we'll wrap up this session. On the production schedule, what I'm looking for is something this is not rocket science, and it is something I think that'll be very helpful to you. Here is the production schedule, and here's what it looks like. Okay, Production schedule 4, put the name of the event, the date of the event, and then count back, okay? So how far in advance did you place, how far in advance did you, let me make sure you can see this. How far in advance did you place these things that needed to be done? Let me close this out real quick because I think I've got a one that'll work a little bit better for our purposes here in Excel. All right, here we go. What you're going to do is you're going to look at your event and you're going to walk this thing out. I'm actually going to go back to the one that I just used because I think it'll be better and easier to understand. How many weeks out? So are we 52 weeks out? Are we 24 weeks out? So you need to think that through. These things may not be items that you need for every program, okay? This is a grocery list. This has been developed, and I think this is about 3 pages long. You can see how it printed in Adobe. It left the done list on a separate page. But down that right column, after you put personnel, there should be a done. And you check off when it was done and put a date when it was done. So all of these things are things that may or may not apply to every single program. This is just a grocery list of things that could supply. Okay? So you need to walk through these things. How far in advance do you accomplish these things? And then you make an assignment right here on who is going to accomplish these things. Okay? So that's how the program proposal worksheet is done. Now listen, this deadline is for the 15th, and which is coming up. But I want to make sure that you had at least a brief explanation of some of those elements. So feel free to post any questions online, and I'll be glad to answer some of those questions for you. And I hope that is very helpful. And we will see you soon with the next installment of our PowerPoint lectures.